friends. I'm your host, Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for joining me in our journey to hope. It is my desire through this podcast to bring you information about how to discover, sustain, or perhaps regain hope. In this episode, I'm speaking with a new friend, Beth Johnson. Beth has a job most people don't like to think about, but one that is incredibly important. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us what she does. Hello, Beth.
Hello. Hey, my name is Beth Johnson. I am a licensed funeral director.
Yeah.
And I'm also a manager of a funeral home here in Prattville. So that's what I do.
You know, when you said licensed funeral director, the first thing that came into my mind was, are there unlicensed funeral directors?
That's true. That's true. I don't know. Somewhere I picked that up as my handle, and it seems to have stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, you know, as a homeowner,
yes,
I do a little electrical and a little plumbing and a little carpentry, and I'm not licensed in any one of those areas. Exactly. I would not do a little funeral directing.
Right. Exactly.
No, I don't mean to poke fun at it.
No, you're right. You're right.
It is absolutely an incredibly important function that you do, and it's coming at a time when people really need some help.
Right.
Maybe for the first time in their life that they're coming to grips. And that's what made me think about, excuse me, that's what made me think about sometimes in that situations people's hope is really challenged. And so I thought you would be a wonderful person to talk about how that does. Well, let's talk about that funeral services director a little bit. I know from personal experience working with designing curriculum in our colleges that there's a lot that goes into the training for that. You don't just one day walk in and get hired as a funeral services director.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So, and a little bit about myself. I was a stay-at-home mother until 2013, raised 3 children. I went back to work when my youngest child was 13. She was born in 2000. But I always wanted to be a funeral director. Walked into my guidance counselor's office in 1983 and said, how do I be a funeral director?
That was probably not a question heard very often.
That's exactly right. She goes, oh my goodness, Beth, where'd you come up with that? And I was like, I don't know. And so anyway, I did not become a funeral director until I was 53 years old.
Okay.
So, but in the state of Alabama, and in most every state, Alabama calls them apprentices. Some states call them interns. So it's just depending on the state's lingo. They're the same thing. You have to be an apprentice. You have to serve an apprenticeship. And then you also have to work in a funeral home while going to school. And so in Alabama, you can... if you've got a master's, if you've got a bachelor's degree, you can just serve an apprenticeship. But if you don't, you have to go to funeral service school, and the only funeral service school in the state of Alabama is at Jefferson State Community College in Birmingham.
Right.
And so that's where I went.
We used to have 2. There was one down in the Mobile area.
That's exactly right.
Now,
They took the 2 programs and combined them into one. But I think there's a little bit of chatter that maybe they might break them back off again. I don't know. That's just some chatter.
It would seem to me as the population grows, there's going to be greater need for that. Okay.
That's right. And logistics wise too, because even from here, from where I live, I mean, it would take me an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to get up there.
Right.
So, but I did mine online, but I would go up there. I would make an appearance, and so it's 6 classes. If you want to be a single license, it's 6 classes. And I'm a single license, meaning that I'm just a licensed funeral director. I decided not to become an embalmer. If you want to be an embalmer, you have to do both license. They don't separate them out. And that's pretty intensive. It's a full load, 15-hour curriculum. And while you're working, at least full-time or part-time in the funeral home.
Yeah.
So,
And there's things in that curriculum that most of us don't really think about. For example, insurance
yes,
and
that's exactly right.
wills and
That's right.
other legal
That's
documents
exactly
that
right.
you have to learn about.
Yeah, and the state of Alabama recently, Funeral Service Board took the pre-need insurance out from under the insurance aid board, and they put it under them so that they could govern that as well. So you do have to know that. As
Well, that would be because of the specificity of that particular. Okay.
That's exactly right. And so, the board is doing everything they can to make sure that we do everything right, we take care of our families, and that we're handling funds that are given to us in advance, and we're handling them in the right way.
A lot of trust in this.
There's a lot of trust, yes, that's right.
I can see that.
That's exactly right.
What do you find is the most challenging aspect of the job?
Well,
I would think the training itself would be quite
the training
challenging.
was something. I mean, because I was, when I started full-time at the funeral home that I started out in, I also started school. I had a daughter who was a senior in high school at the time, so I had all of that going on, and we were trying to help guide her to where she needed to go to college and make some decisions. So it was a full year. So that was a very challenging year. I was at a very busy funeral home, so I would sometimes meet with up to 10 clients a week, which is a lot for one funeral director.
Yeah.
And I liked, my personality is that if I meet with you and I make your arrangements, I want to also work your service, your loved one's funeral. And so sometimes that would mean that I'd come in on my off day and work a funeral.
Sure.
So fatigue was real. And but my most challenging is it's getting greater and greater is in the past, people had a loyalty to a funeral home. My family's always used this funeral home, or that funeral home. Now it is, where can I get the cheapest services? And so that's a challenge, is people calling us and saying, well, I can get it for this over here. What can you give me?
Okay.
And so they're price shopping. And that's our society these days. We want the best deal. We want the best bang for our buck, I guess you could say, and it bleeds over. So that's a challenge. And then people that are not prepared to pay these things.
This is one of those areas, like so many others, that the earlier you can make decisions and prepare for this,
that's exactly
the better
right.
you're going to be. When I was making arrangements with you guys, way in advance.
Yes, me too.
Something that was said to me, and absolutely true, is it's not going to get any cheaper.
No, it's not.
And so the better prepared you are for it, then you won't have that.
That's
of
exactly
course,
right.
finances are going to be a part of it.
Well, and we tell people all the time when they speak to us, because sometimes people will come into a funeral and then they're thinking, I should take care of this.
Yeah.
That kind of jars their thinking. We tell them, and this is not a sales pitch, it's truth. It's never cheaper than it is today.
That's right.
So it's only going to get more expensive. It doesn't go down.
And again, prepare for it way ahead of time.
That's right.
Takes the burden, the emotion off of it.
That's exactly right.
I appreciated when my wife and I sat down and spoke with you guys about it, and we made our decisions. It was not a high pressure. It was laid out.
Yep.
There was absolutely a feeling and level of trust involved because you're dealing with something that is probably as most personal as anything could get.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because we
there was a little bit of laughter. There was a little bit of solemn moments.
It's an intimate profession as well, because we see when we're taking care of that body, that sort of thing. We see it in a way that nobody else sees it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
handle it and so we kind of treat it as sacred. And even our laws are designed to treat that in sacred. Like, one of our laws is that we are not allowed to use profanity in front of a body that is deceased.
Good.
Yes,
Don't need to anyway.
Right. And so, it's there's a level of sacredness.
A key word that is part of the company name and all of that is dignity.
It's dignity.
And
that's
that is
exactly
an important part.
That's
okay.
exactly right.
So okay, that's some challenges. What are some rewards with the job?
The rewards are, it's funny that I got a text last night from a friend of mine who I buried her dad last October. And she sent me a screenshot of her from her brother. And it was, tell the lady at the funeral home that handled Dad's service, thank you for taking care of all the details. He happened to be in Alaska, and he was at a funeral, and he said nothing was ready. The memorial folders weren't ready. The body wasn't ready. The staff wasn't friendly. So those are some very rewarding moments when they tell us, hey, thank you for taking care of us. Other rewarding moments are when they come back and they've had a second death. I recently handled the death of a young woman. She was a young woman because she was in her late 50s. She was the fourth person for the year that we've handled for her family. And,
wow.
And we've done
that by itself is a lot on a person.
Yes.
Wow.
And so that's very rewarding. And then unfortunately, when we have to handle a baby or a child of some, nature, those are rewarding to us as well, because we're handling the most precious thing that a family has, which is their child.
Sure.
There's nothing more precious. So when they pick us to take care of them. And so what I do with my staff, now that I manage a funeral home, is that I tell my staff, you are to treat this family, no matter what, you're to treat them as if you want to be treated. If you were on the other side of the table. And if we do that, then they'll come back and they will walk away from this experience saying this was the worst experience, but it was also the best experience.
We think of in a services environment like that, we think about sympathy, obviously.
Right.
But empathy has to be a huge part of what you do too.
Right.
You have to put yourself into their feelings.
That's exactly right.
Think about that.
People ask me all the time, they'll say, I don't understand how you do this job without crying. And I said, well, one of my professors at Funeral Service School said to our class one day, they don't pay you to cry. They pay you to be so you want to have the empathy, you want to have the sympathy, but you also want to lead them so that they can weep and cry over, not you. This is not about us. This is about our client family, and so that's kind of how the mindset that we go into it with.
And you're being successful, back to the idea of rewards, when they come back to you and said,
right.
You did such a wonderful job.
That's exactly right.
Trusting you again.
I'm trusting you again. That's exactly right. Or they come back and they write a prearranged funeral with us as well that says, hey, you took such good care of me. I mean, I had a gentleman call me yesterday, and he said, I need to come in, and I buried his wife, and he goes, and I need to take care of mine. And so that means that I did take care of him.
Yeah.
And so
Well, I've been accused of having a plan for everything. Well, certainly I have a plan for, and part of that is to take the burden off of those who would be responsible for
That's
what
right.
they do.
I tell my, especially adult children, I say when I sit with them and their family, their parents have done a pre-need, which is paying for everything in advance. I say, to me, a pre-need is a sign of love. They loved their children enough to, number one, tell us what they wanted, because that's what a pre-need does, is it tells us your mind. And two, your parents used their money. They were not waiting and asking you to use your money.
Hadn't thought of that, but that's very
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Because you know that when you're in the throes of raising children, your disposable income is far less than what it is when you have raised your children.
Yeah.
And so that's why we like for folks that are in their late 50s, early 60s to come and see us, because their disposable income has changed and they have the capability. And it takes the burden off of their adult children to do something that maybe they didn't have they don't have the funds to do. I know when I was raising my children, if I would have had to pay for something like that, it would have been very difficult to do that.
And there's a maturity there. There's a state of mind, all of that. Okay. Well, this podcast is about helping folks discover, sustain, or regain hope. So I kind of want to shift gears. It seems counterintuitive that I'm speaking with a funeral services director about hope when a life has ended. And yet I recognized right away that there is an element of support of hope. Yes, the person has passed away, but the family is still there. And
That's right.
so I thought this would be part of the overall picture to help us with understanding of hope. So let's kind of explore that a little bit. How do you understand the concept of hope?
Oh, gosh.
That's one of those crazy questions. Okay.
Yeah, that's, hope is looking forward to things to come.
There you go. That's a key concept, looking forward. Yeah,
that's right. In the funeral service business, especially if I know that I'm dealing with families that are believers, that are Christian, a lot of times I'll quote to them when they arrive to the funeral home, because one of the things that we do if we're going to have a casket funeral is I meet my families at their car. So we park them at a certain spot, and I like to walk up to the car and open the door to the next of kin, either to the wife or to the husband or to that adult child that I've dealt with. And I like to quote that verse, this is the day that the Lord has made.
Okay.
I do change it a little bit, so I hope the Lord forgives me. But I said, we're going to try and rejoice and be glad in it. You know? And I'm hoping that I'm giving my families something to hold on to get them through that day.
That is a wonderful verse. It's found in Psalm 118. That is an amazing psalm, and I'm going to get to the tie-in with what you're saying. That was the last song that our Lord and the apostles sang at the Passover.
Okay.
I did some research on that, and as they observed the Passover meal, that series of psalms there, like 114 through 118, were sung. So in Matthew's version of that, it said, after they had sung hymn, they went out to the garden. Right. And that caused me to think, what Psalms was their hymn book. So what psalm did they? And so I researched it, and that was the last psalm. So here's our Lord. He's preparing to go to the torture and death. And in there, he is saying, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And so that's a very insightful verse that you quote to somebody who is in this environment of end of life, and you're saying, this is the day the Lord has made. And let's rejoice in it, or find something.
Find something.
And you help them with that. I appreciate you saying that, because that's such a challenging time.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, when I've done teenagers and that sort of thing, it's tough, and I try to be as gentle and kind
Yeah.
as I can be when quoting that, to say, the Lord is with us.
Yeah.
We're not by ourselves today. And
Most of us don't deal with the death of someone very often,
that's exactly right.
but it does occur. And it would seem to me in a younger person who may not have the full understanding of the cycle of life, that it would be challenging.
I think the average is, according to the funeral industry, is that you handle a funeral every 15 years is kind of the average.
Okay.
Of course, if you've got a mother and a father, you deal with those. But I think about in my own situation, I was 20 when my father died, but I was 54 when my mother died. So, I think about my husband and his parents. One died in 09 and one died in 23. So see, that fits that kind of that statistic. So you're right. We don't encounter it often. It's really unusual. This family that we just did, that this was the third or the fourth one.
Yeah.
They're unusual. Yeah. They skew the statistic, but
sure.
But they so you want to help them, because a lot of times they're coming to me and they go, Beth, I don't know what I'm doing. And I go, that's okay, I do.
I do.
And,
that's right.
And so I'm going to do it for you.
Yeah. And so you made this absolutely accurate statement of understanding that hope is a forward-looking concept. So here I am, and I've just lost somebody to death in this life, and I may feel a little bit like I don't see a forward. I don't feel the level of hopefulness that I would like to have. My hope for that person is no longer there.
Right.
So you're helping that reestablish that in some ways. So that's kind of where my thoughts were.
And we just try to, put our arm around them and love on them. We let them know we care, and it's not fake, that we really do care about every person that walks through the door. We want to be there for them with any resources that we might have, to help them with grief. Yeah. And that's why I give out my cell number. My cell number is on all of my cards that say, hey, I'm available to you. It doesn't stop, at the grave. So,
well, that's because we've established a relationship with
that's exactly right.
Much as we would with a healthcare person, or
it goes back to that that intimacy.
Yeah, so. And again, the earlier I establish that, the more it's going to grow and be there. Yeah, I mean, we all find challenges to that hope all the time, and so if we can help somebody overcome those challenges, then that's a wonderful thing that we can do.
That's exactly right.
And especially in a very challenging time of somebody's loss. Sometimes people, I think, as I've looked at it and studied it or heard, they become angry because of a loss of a person, and so they might have a moment of lashing out, but again, that's that emotion involved with it.
I handled a young man from my church. He was on his summer job. He had just finished his freshman year at Auburn University, and he was in a car accident, and he died.
Yeah.
And his family came to me and wanted me to take care of him. And we were walking out the door we'd finished the arrangement conference, and everything was set, what we were going to do, how we were going to honor this young man. And I said to them, because he was 19 years old, and I said, listen, when you see me at church and you don't want to speak to me, it's okay.
Okay.
And you can wave to me from afar. Or not, and it's okay, because sometimes seeing me is not pleasant, because it takes you back to oh wait, you you did something for me that I didn't want you to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because
Okay.
I didn't want to be there, and I want my son back, and I
And
can't.
you're a reminder
And
of
I'm a
that.
reminder of
Yeah.
it. And so I give, in situations like that, I always give my families permission not to like me. And to not
Okay.
to and they were like, oh no, Beth, we would never do that. And I go, you will, and it's okay,
Yeah.
it's all right. And so we just sort of wave from afar, and that's
Yeah.
what we do, and it's okay. So
We had a seminar here a year or so ago on dealing with grief, and point that was well made was that we all grieve. We grieve differently, and we
that's right.
grieve for different periods of time, and no rush on it.
That's right.
And we
That's right.
accept that the person is grieving.
That's exactly
Right.
right. And that's something I do tell my families too, as I say, don't let anybody tell you how to grieve and
yeah.
when to grieve and when to stop grieving.
Yeah.
You do whatever is good for you. And so, you know,
So my foundation with a person has been challenged, that hope. And so now you're helping reestablish a foundation, a point that they can now start to rebuild from. And in a very dignified way, you have helped them start to make those steps. And I think sometimes maybe we don't realize that, but that's why it's such an important part of all of this idea of hope. You're helping them turn that page, start to look forward, and move
that's right.
on.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And it may take a while, as we said.
That's
you know.
exactly right. And you know, I tell people, when I was an apprentice funeral director, my mother died very suddenly. She was talking to my sister on the telephone.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean funeral services people also go through this?
We do.
Of course
We
they do.
We do.
Absolutely.
And her death made me a better funeral director.
Sure.
Do I wish I had her back? Yep, I do. I wish you'd seen some of my children's milestones since that day. But that's okay. But you know, she made me she made me better at my profession.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I understand, and I'll tell families, especially daughters, I tell this to, is that I say, you know, it's a real surreal feeling to lose a parent. It really is. To lose our mothers. That person that was always there, you know, in our life. That was a phone call or a letter or whatever, you know, however you communicated with your mother. They were always there, and so she did. She made it. It made me better to sit and have to.
That's that empathy aspect of it. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Well, I'm going to put your contact information for Ridout's Funeral Services in my show notes, so folks can contact you.
Yep.
And they may not necessarily use your services, but they can certainly contact you
They
even
can.
then.
Yeah. I really like to share all of my information, like what I know. I want to give that to you. And if you want to use us, that's wonderful. If we've helped you make a decision between us and somebody else, great. Do we want to do everybody? Yes, but we also want to help everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's our goal. And so I'm available for any questions. I'm also available for anybody who's thinking about going into funeral service.
Okay. Sure.
Profession, you know. It's become a woman's industry more so now.
I hadn't thought about that. Okay.
It is. There's more women going through it right now than there are men, and so that tide has turned a little bit. So you know, any questions people may have. We like to share information about veterans. We know all about national cemeteries, things like that. So, you know, that's anything that any questions they have, they are welcome to call me there at the funeral home.
Okay. Beth, thank you. I appreciate your time again. It's a precious gift that we give, and your insights are very, very valuable.
Yeah. Well, it's an honor. And I tell families that it's an honor to take care of them, and it's an honor to share any information that I have. It really is. And those are not, trite words. Those are, we really do mean it. So, yeah.
I can imagine when you're talking with somebody and somebody says, well, what do you do for a living? And you say, well, I'm a funeral services director. They may take a pause. I'm not sure where to go with that.
They do. And when I have adult children that are 32, 30, and 25, and when they tell people, well, my dad is a retired attorney, but my mother is a funeral director, and they go, wait, what?
What?
And
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
And then they want to know my craziest case.
Oh, okay.
And they want to tell me a funeral director joke.
Yeah, okay.
And so so that's kind of the way it goes.
Okay.
But yeah, there's not a lot of us. But it's funny.
Okay.
It's a funny profession.
Well, again, very valuable. Okay. Well, friends, thank you for joining Beth and I as together we journey to hope. I trust in some small way we have encouraged you to discover, sustain, and regain hope through this effort. I invite you to contact me if you have any questions or comments, or if you wish to share with me something from your experiences in your journey to hope. My email is info@ourjourneytohope.com. That's info@ourjourneytohope.com. And please share this podcast with someone whose hope is being challenged. I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Again, I'm Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for listening. And until our next episode, remember, we give all glory to God our Father.